This is KGW News at Sunrise.
Good morning and thank you for getting up with us on this Saturday morning. I'm Galen Etland. The time is about 7 o'clock and let's get your day going with a live look toward downtown Portland from our Rose City Skycam. We are sitting in the 60s right now. It's going to be another cooler day across the metro. Let's get a quick check on the forecast with Matt Safino.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Matt Safino. We've got a great weekend on the way in spite of the cloud cover we have over parts of the viewing area right now. Those are courtesy of this. Check out the satellite imagery. This weather system that moved into Washington last night and to the Oregon coast this morning, producing rain up to the north but south of the Columbia River. Generally just a few spots of drizzle this morning, which will give way to no drizzle and just a cloudy sky and eventually sunshine even at the beach this weekend. Is going to turn into a really, really nice affair. For Portland, 59 this morning, will be about 73 by noontime and reach 78 at 5 o'clock. That'll be our high temperature for the day. Notice the sunset now is pushed before 8:30 as the days are getting a little shorter as we move on through the month of August. Now tomorrow we're going to be up around 85 degrees, and once those clouds clear this morning, it's going to be clear for the rest of the weekend. And in spite of 85 tomorrow, it looks like Monday will be the hottest day as we climb up to about 90. But all in all, we've got a great weekend on the way from the coast to the Cascades, clear over to the Idaho border.
And now we begin with another night of violent clashes between protesters and police in Portland overnight. More than 100 demonstrators gathered at Laurelhurst Park late in the evening and marched to the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office on East Burnside. When they arrived, officers declared that gathering an unlawful assembly. Police say some people in the crowd threw objects at officers, including pieces of cement. Around 1 this morning, a line of troopers and Portland officers began pushing protesters away from the area. Those officers used pepper spray, flash grenades, and pepper balls. Police took multiple people into custody, including a photographer for the Daily Mail.
Just got heated under the collar. I went up and said, hey, this is not okay. This is my neighborhood. These are my people that live here. You're not helping my black friends.
This morning, we are hearing from two women, both in their 70s, who stood up to destructive demonstrators outside Portland Police's East Precinct Thursday night. Demonstrators splashed both women with paint, covering one of them. Catherine Cook tracked the women down to ask why they wanted to step in.
This gathering has been declared an unlawful assembly.
After 2 nights of protests aimed at Portland police, neighbors are driving past East Precinct to shout their appreciation.
Thank you, you're a great citizen. We just don't want anybody to get hurt.
Their folk hero, a 73-year-old woman named Penny.
But Wednesday night, they broke windows and it was a real mess.
Penny had had enough. As protesters lit a fire outside the precinct Thursday night, she grabbed her fire extinguisher, her Black Lives Matter sign, and, with the help of her walker, went to put out the flames.
I'm very, very pro Black Lives Matter, but I just think that the vandalism sabotages the message.
This video, taken by Portland Tribune reporter Zane Sparling, shows the moments after Penny put out the fire. She says protesters approached her and lit the fire again.
There was a young woman and a man, and they wouldn't let me by. And while I was arguing with the young woman, the man grabbed it and ran away. So I thought, oh, shoot, there I am. I have, no fire extinguisher.
At the same time, other protesters were splashing paint against the precinct's boarded-up windows. Some of it splattered into Penny's hair. That's nothing compared to what 77-year-old Kobe went through. That's her, soaked in blue paint.
I managed to use a lot of conditioner and whatever to get it out.
She's in good spirits now, but Thursday night, Kobe, like Penny, was angry.
Just got heated under the collar. I went up and said, hey, this is not okay. This is my neighborhood. These are my people that live here. You're not helping my black friends.
Kobe's message didn't seem to resonate with protesters who dumped paint on her and tossed yellow caution tape on her head. But it did resonate with neighbors.
She's a brave lady.
2 ladies with 151 years between them and one request.
But just don't do the vandalism. I don't think it helps. And I think there's collateral damage.
Despite what happened to them, both women say there were caring people in the crowd, including some who offered to walk them home. Neither plan on pressing charges. In Southeast Portland, Catherine Cook, KGW News.
Portland Police Union President Daryl Turner sent a letter to Mayor Wheeler and the county district attorney about the protests. He accuses them of not caring about the well-being of officers. The letter also mentions those women you just saw in Catherine's story, saying in part, the first armed only with a walker, a fire extinguisher, and a homemade BLM poster, tried to put out a fire Thursday night in front of East Precinct. In return, she endured harassment and assault from rioters. Turner also wrote the mayor is handcuffing police and their ability to act. The famous elk statue seems to have returned to downtown Portland, sort of. An anonymous group dropped off a homemade elk statue where the old one used to stand. The city removed the original in early July after protesters damaged it. The new one also has a bucket under it to raise money for Black Lives Matter. We've covered the Portland protest now for more than 70 days, and you can catch up on all of our reporting from the beginning by checking out our KGW YouTube page. We have a playlist dedicated to the protests. Now to the latest here on the spread of coronavirus. Oregon is reporting another 423 new cases, bringing the statewide total close to 21,000. But state officials say the spread of the virus appears to be slowing down. Earlier in the pandemic, each positive person infected 1.5 other people. Now, on average, every COVID patient is only infecting 1 other person. Oregon also reported 9 more deaths, bringing the state's death toll to 348. Earlier this week, Dr. Deborah Birx and the White House Coronavirus Task Force put Portland on a list of potential new coronavirus hotspots. That's according to the nonpartisan reporting group Center for Public Integrity. But get this, our local leaders say that concern is new to them. Multnomah County Health Officer Dr. Jennifer Vines was not even invited to the White House conference call about this. She says she doesn't see evidence of an impending coronavirus surge.
She mentions Portland in that list, and she refers to high levels of virus. And it's really not clear what she means by that. Again, in Multnomah County, our percent positive is right around 5%, which is sort of the threshold for when you start to worry. And we know that our cases, our running cases per 100,000 are actually quite a bit less than many of our peer counties across the country.
Dr. Vines there added, all things considered, Portland and the county are doing reasonably well against the virus. And now to Washington state, where health officials say 11 kids have now contracted a rare illness linked to COVID-19. It's called multisystem inflammatory syndrome. It's thought to develop about 4 weeks after exposure to COVID-19. Many patients don't show symptoms of the virus, but weeks later then develop persistent fevers and gastrointestinal problems. Those 11 cases in Washington are spread across the state, with a couple in Franklin County, 3 in King County, 1 in Skagit, 2 in Snohomish, and 3 in Yakima County. The state's asking healthcare providers to watch out for possibly more cases. Now there's some good news for Washington families with loved ones in long-term care facilities. Governor Jay Inslee is easing restrictions with a phased approach. Under the first phase, families can have outdoor visits with those in care. If that goes well, limited indoor visits will be allowed under phase 2. Only one person will be allowed to visit at a time, and all visitors will need to wear a mask. They'll also be screened for coronavirus symptoms. Now, for all of this to happen, care facilities must also go 28 days without a single COVID case among residents or staff. There's much more coming up here on Sunrise this morning, including help for some of our most vulnerable workers. We've seen a handful of coronavirus outbreaks linked to farms and agriculture, processing facilities. Now, a new program is helping migrant workers support their families if they get exposed to the virus. We've got those details when we come back.